This is the Core 3 from FightingGamesOnline.info, and as promised, I'm back with a first look at Mortal Kombat 1. This weekend I got a chance to play the pre-order beta and just want to give some first impression. For this latest first look, I'm going to give a brief history of the Mortal Kombat franchise, go over what the beta included, talk about the presentation, give some deets on the game mechanics, and finally give my opinion on the online experience. Last year, Mortal Kombat celebrated its 30th anniversary. When we talk about top 3 fighting games of all time, in my opinion, Mortal Kombat is in this space. The first title released back in 1992 for the arcade and quickly made its ways for its ultra-violent movesets and one-of-a-kind presentation. If you grew up around this time, then you heard the chatter before you even laid eyes on the game when you were at school. For a time, it was all anyone was talking about, and while it wasn't initially what I imagined in my head, it certainly lived up to that hype. While motion capture is something that is greatly used today, it was not as common back then, and so the digitized use of real humans really made the game stand apart from its other contemporaries. Now, after the first 3 titles in the series, things switched from digitized motion capture to 3D motion capture, and this has been where the franchise has stayed up until this point. Unlike a lot of fighting games that have had a very long hiatus in terms of sequels and reboots, you can't really say that for Mortal Kombat. This franchise has basically had a fighting game for every generation, and more importantly, it has done well despite the popularity for fighting games decreasing. So it's fair to say there's something special about Mortal Kombat that keeps fans coming back. Going into the 7th generation of consoles, there were a lot of new beginnings. The company who had published Mortal Kombat Midway went bankrupt, and as a result, Mortal Kombat's IP was purchased by WB Games. This purchase would result in the formation of NetherRealm Studios, and the reboot of Mortal Kombat would go back to its roots, which has successfully produced 3 more games in the series under the new leadership. And so we arrive at the latest title, Mortal Kombat 1, which was introduced in May of this year. It is really incredible just how long this title was under wraps, as leading up to this point there was not an inkling that the project was even in development. What was even more of a shocker is that they had a definitive release date announcing it would be coming to PlayStation 5, Xbox Series X and S, Switch, and PC on September 19th of this year. This latest entry in the series is a pretty big reboot of the franchise and essentially follows the events of the last Mortal Kombat in regards to the changing of the timeline. With this change comes new storylines for veteran cast members, and from what I'm gathering, there is no telling exactly what side of the fence these characters will be on when this new saga is all said and done. In my opinion, it will definitely make for an interesting story. So let's jump into this beta. The beta included 6 playable characters, 4 cameo characters, tower mode, and a matchmaking online mode. To be honest, this felt very underwhelming. I was expecting a lot more than what they offered for a pre-order beta, so outside of the gameplay itself, there wasn't a lot to get excited about. In terms of presentation, it is more than apparent that they've definitely improved the visuals from their last offering. What really got my attention was how slim the characters look compared to the last title, and my theory is this design choice was done because of the new mechanic they developed for this latest entry. The HDR definitely makes the overall game look phenomenal and gives colors a kick that definitely makes things like lighting and effects stand out more. Now onto the gameplay. In terms of returning mechanics, the enhanced special moves are here once again, combo breakers are also back, Fatal Blow has returned, and basic movement also remains the same. In terms of new mechanics, characters now have air combos which you can convert off of air-to-air attacks and launchers as well. I don't know how to feel about this yet. It feels somewhat good to convert additional damage from launching an opponent this way, but I'm definitely going to need to spend some more time learning what I can do before I have a true opinion of it. Of course, the biggest mechanic that is being introduced in this new title is cameos. Cameos consist of some characters who are on the playable roster and other characters who have been a part of the different games over the years. At the beginning of a match, you will choose one cameo character and they will assist you in different ways. The main idea is they can either enhance the abilities that you already have or make up for deficiencies in your defense or offense. Each cameo character provides a set of special command attacks. There is one button that is regulated to attacks, and you'll activate other specials by holding or pressing an additional direction to execute the attack. Certain cameos can delay or cancel at least one of their special moves. In addition to this, cameos also have their own throw animation, fatal blow attack, and fatality as well. So between the cameo assist and the addition of air combos, it really feels like there is no ceiling in terms of what ways you'll be able to create interesting setups, and deal a horrendous amount of damage. Finally, there is the online experience. As I mentioned before, the online mode was basically just matchmaking. Once a match was found, you would see the ping, the type of connection your opponent had, and from there you had a decision to accept or decline the match. In terms of the online experience itself, matches felt pretty good. I played with pings as low as 60 ms and as high as 200 ms. The 200 ms match was actually decent, even with a few lag spikes it handled pretty well, and was actually better than some of the matches I had at lower pings. Of course, by now you know NetherRealm Studios has been using rollback, and I definitely feel like there has been some improvements since Injustice 2. So that is pretty much my experience with the pre-order beta. A bit disappointed that there wasn't more, but I certainly had some enjoyment with the online matches and learning about the new cameo system. Thus far, we know there are 19 playable characters that are going to be available at launch, and there have been at least 13 cameo characters that are possibly going to be available on the release date. In addition to this, DLC has been confirmed with 6 more playable characters and 5 more cameos that will be making their way into the game at some point. Not everything has been announced yet. I'm betting on Gamescom opening night live, giving us the final launch trailer for this title and more info. That will be taking place Tuesday of this week around 2:00 p.m. Eastern if I'm correct. At the moment, there are 2 different versions of Mortal Kombat 1. The Standard Edition, which just gives you the base game and Shang Tsung if you pre-order the game, and a Premium Edition, which gives you access to the game on September 14th, includes the first DLC characters, in-game currency, and a Jean-Claude Van Damme skin for Johnny Cage. It is something I failed to mention, but before Mortal Kombat, they were originally trying to create an action game that was going to star Jean-Claude Van Damme, but that fell through, so it's somewhat of a full circle moment to top off the anniversary, I'm guessing. So while we still have to wait, it isn't going to be too long, and I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how well this latest entry in the series does. While it was a great looking game, I think Mortal Kombat 11 did not have the same depth as 10, and fans felt that it was copycatting too much of Injustice and didn't have a true identity. Mortal Kombat 1 definitely feels like it does, and the cameo system is definitely the heart and soul of what is making this true. There is no telling what the rest of the year will bring for fighting games. I'm expecting that Tekken 8 is going to be the next big fighting game to release, and maybe I'll be able to get some hands-on time before it releases. We also got our first teaser of Fatal Fury City of the Wolves, and what looks to be a final conclusion to the Under Night and Birth series, so I'll definitely be keeping an eye out for what's coming up.